She stood outside the elegant restaurant, her clothes torn, dusty, and old. People passing by gave her strange looks. Some even laughed under their breath. But she didn't care. Her name was Maya, and this was no ordinary evening. It was the day she was supposed to meet someone who claimed to love her for who she was, not for what she looked like. She had met him online, a man with gentle words, a warm heart, and a mysterious personality. He never told her much about his life, but he always said, "I don't care about appearances, I care about souls." To test his words, Maya decided to do something bold. She would come to their first meeting looking like a beggar, dirty clothes, messy hair, no makeup, and no jewelry. She wanted to know if he truly saw her heart or just her face. As she entered the restaurant, people stared. Some waiters hesitated to approach her. "Ma'am, are you sure you're in the right place?" one asked politely. Maya smiled faintly and replied, "Yes, I'm meeting someone here. His name is Adrian." The waiter looked surprised but showed her to a table at the corner. She sat there, her hands shaking slightly. Around her, people whispered, wondering why someone dressed like her was sitting in such a fancy place. Minutes passed. Then, the door opened, and in walked a man in a sharp black suit, tall, confident, and graceful. Everyone seemed to notice him. His presence demanded attention. It was Adrian. He looked around, searching. His eyes fell on Maya. For a brief second, he froze. Then he smiled, a real, genuine smile, and walked toward her. "Maya," he said softly. She looked up nervously. "Yes." He pulled out the chair and sat across from her, completely unfazed by her appearance. "I'm glad you came," he said warmly. "You look different from your pictures, but somehow even more real." Maya blinked in surprise. "You're not embarrassed?" Adrian chuckled. "Why would I be? You're the same person I've been talking to all this time. Clothes don't change the soul." The waiter came by, still hesitant. "Sir, would you like me to move you to another table?" Adrian looked up sharply. "No, this table is perfect. And please, treat my guest with respect." The waiter nodded quickly and walked away. Maya's heart softened. She didn't expect him to stand up for her like that. As they began to talk, Maya explained why she came dressed this way. "I wanted to see if you meant what you said, that you cared about what's inside, not outside." Adrian listened quietly. Then he smiled. "I did mean it, but I should confess something too. I'm not just some guy who works at a small firm. I'm actually the CEO of a company, and I also wanted to see if you'd care about who I am, or just what I have." Maya stared at him in shock. "You're a CEO?" "Yes," he said calmly. "And yet, you're the only one who's ever spoken to me like a normal person, not like a man with money." She laughed softly. "So, I came like a beggar to test your heart, and you came as a humble man to test mine." "Looks like we both passed," he said with a grin. As dinner went on, people around them began to notice how kind and gentle the CEO was to her. He didn't care about her clothes. He didn't care that she looked poor. He only cared about the way she laughed, the way she listened, and the kindness in her eyes. After dinner, Adrian stood up and helped her from her chair. "Come," he said, "let's take a walk." They stepped outside. The city lights sparkled around them. Maya still looked out of place in her old, torn dress, but beside Adrian, she looked like she belonged. As they walked through the quiet street, Adrian said, "You know, when I was younger, I didn't have much either. I built everything from nothing. That's why I don't judge people by how they look. I judge them by how they rise." Maya's eyes softened. "You're not what I expected from a rich man." He smiled. "And you're not what I expected from a blind date. You're better." She laughed gently, her heart light for the first time in years. "Do you always talk like this?" "Only when I mean it," he said. Before parting, Adrian took off his jacket and placed it over her shoulders. "You must be cold," he said. She looked at him, her eyes shimmering. "Thank you. I didn't think tonight would end like this." "Neither did I," he replied softly. "Sometimes the best surprises come in the most unexpected forms." She smiled. "So, what happens now?" He looked into her eyes. "Tomorrow, let's meet again. Same place. But this time, come as you. Not as a test, not in disguise, just you." The next evening, Maya arrived wearing a simple but elegant blue dress. Her hair was neatly tied back, and her smile was calm and confident. Adrian was already there, waiting. When he saw her, he stood up immediately, his eyes full of admiration. "You look beautiful," he said. She smiled shyly. "Thank you. And you look the same as yesterday, kind." They laughed together. The waiter who had looked down on her the day before came to serve them with respect this time, realizing who she truly was, not by status, but by grace. As they talked, something unspoken bloomed between them: respect, understanding, and love built on honesty, not appearances. Weeks turned into months. Adrian and Maya met often. They spent time walking in the park, helping in charity events, and building a connection that felt genuine and pure. One evening, Adrian brought her to a small community shelter he supported. "You once said appearances can lie," he said. "I want us to build something together, a foundation that helps those who are ignored because of how they look." Maya's eyes filled with tears. "You mean that?" He nodded. "You helped me see what real value looks like. It's time we share it with the world." Months later, their foundation became a beacon of hope for people living on the streets, offering education, shelter, and love without judgment. And at its opening ceremony, Maya stood beside Adrian, wearing a simple white dress and a proud smile. Reporters asked Adrian how they met. He looked at her and said, "She showed up to our first date dressed like a beggar, but that's the day I met the richest soul I've ever known." Maya blushed as the audience clapped. Because in the end, it wasn't about wealth or clothes. It was about two hearts that saw each other clearly when the world refused to look deeper. Sometimes love isn't found in beauty or luxury, it's found in truth, courage, and kindness. And that day, a woman who once felt invisible became the light in a man's life who had everything, except love. Because real love never judges. It just recognizes.